Hi, it's Congresswoman Jan Schakowsky again with my plans and pans. Well, this has been a very difficult week when it comes to the COVID-19 virus. Last week, I reported that we had, in the country, hit the record number of deaths in one day. Well, I'm afraid that we have exceeded that. 3,054 deaths in one day last Wednesday. And overall, we're looking at about 190,000 deaths in the country. We are now almost, and probably at the end of the day, we will be, at the total number of people who died in battle in World War II. And we have often exceeded the number in one day of people that were killed in the 9/11 attack. So we're at war. And yet the administration has been just talking about how the election was rigged and, he really won the election and doing literally nothing about the COVID virus to help us. In Illinois, we saw 179 people dying on Wednesday. There were 8,256 new cases in Illinois. In the country, we're at 15.5 million people, cases of the COVID virus. And, if you listen to the Tony Fauci's of the world and all the experts, we're really in for it if we don't take all the precautions. I say the if because a lot of it is actually within the power of ordinary people. So please, please, please be careful. Um, the pollsters are finding that only 47 to 61% of people are willing to take the vaccine that is now going to become available. We're seeing the vaccine, probably when you see this, it'll begin to be distributed. They have started in Great Britain to inoculate people, and hopefully we're going to see very good results from that. But it's going to take a while for it to come to the masses of people in our country. And unfortunately, I don't exactly know why, but the administration turned down Pfizer's offer of 100 million doses. And so we may not have those until early summer um, in order to inoculate more people. But we also just need to convince people that this is a good thing. And so there's definitely going to be an education campaign to make that happen. Many false things are already being said about the vaccine. The misinformation is really hurting us. Whip Jim Clyburn chairs the House Select Committee on the COVID crisis. Has really raised concerns about the effort by the Trump administration at the Department of Health and Human Services and the Centers for Disease Control to conceal some of the data that we know about upcoming surges in various places around the country. They want to mask that information, and in the meantime, they're having parties. We know that Secretary Pompeo threw a party for 200 people at the State Department. The White House has held some holiday parties, and the lawyers for Donald Trump, Giuliani, and Jenna Ellis, they've both tested positive now for the virus after their travels all over the place and not doing distancing or masks. Now I want to get to the flu shot. So we have seen some overlap now with people not getting the flu shot. Please get that flu shot. It is a lifesaver. It's so important. And, God forbid someone gets COVID, you certainly don't want the dual illnesses of the flu and the COVID virus. Please get the flu shot. As I said, we've seen a decline. New things in the transition team. My friend and former colleague in the House of Representatives, Javier Becerra, who is the Attorney General now in California, will be the director of the Department of Health and Human Services, an expert on these issues, and I'm very excited that we'll have him serving in that position. General Lloyd Austin has been nominated as Secretary of Defense. He would be the first Black director of that department, the first secretary in that department. Finally, having the kind of diversity that we see in the armed forces themselves, the men and women who serve. We saw the integration in the 40s of the armed services, but we have never had a Black secretary before, and that we're hoping he will be confirmed. We have Dr. Rochelle Walensky will lead the Centers for Disease Control, and she's an expert on virus testing, prevention, and treatment, so we need her in that place. Dr. Vivek Murphy, who was the Surgeon General, will again be the Surgeon General. Tom Vilsack will return to his position as the Secretary of Agriculture. Marcia Fudge, a colleague of mine from Ohio, has been designated as the nominee to head the Housing and Urban Development, something she knows a good deal about. African-American woman. And Dennis McDonough, if that name sounds familiar, he was President Obama's chief of staff for a good while, and he has been nominated for the Veterans Affairs Department. Susan Rice, I think we're all pretty familiar with Susan Rice. She was former UN ambassador and national security advisor, and she has been asked to head the Domestic Policy Council. Catherine Tai, a name you haven't heard, I'm sure, but someone I know pretty well and I supported, has been nominated as our U.S. trade representative. She helped us a lot in the latest trade agreements. So I want to tell you about the relief package. I was certainly hoping that at the end of this week, we would be able to report back that some, at least, of the suffering that we are hearing every day in our office, and I'm sure offices around the country, of just ordinary people who are going to run out of their unemployment insurance. That would be in the state of Illinois, about 500,000 people who could lose their unemployment insurance, and nationwide 16.4 million on the day after Christmas. We know that people could really use some money in their pocket. I have been pushing hard for what I call a survival check. Not. I mean, this is just needed to make it, and it doesn't look like that's going to happen. We remember that when the $12,000 checks went out, and then some money for kids as well, that it really helped a lot of families. That is not right now on the agenda, and I'm pushing. So next week, we hope to see something really helpful. State and local government, we hope, is going to get some money. Small businesses, a revival of the PPP, Paycheck Protection Program, that it will be even more aimed at small businesses, 300 employees or less. That's one of the bipartisan agreements, but we haven't heard from Mitch McConnell on it. We haven't heard from the president on that, but we are hoping all those things are going to be in there. And then Mitch McConnell continues to push for a liability shield for businesses. I've talked to you a bit about this before. I call it, and Bernie Sanders has called it, a get out of jail free card that would allow corporations to say, well, you have to go to work or you're going to get fired. And by the way, if you're fired, you're not eligible for the unemployment insurance, um, even if the situation is dangerous. And no one could sue to make sure that workers are protected. And they want that liability shield for 4 years. Really? Not just like 3 months. And then if the virus continues, we could extend it. But no. And anyway, I don't think they deserve a shield whatsoever. We want employers to be accountable, to make sure that they do everything that they can to make sure the safety of their employees. So this week I joined a press conference that was pulled together by Sean Caston, one of our newest members from the Illinois delegation, and other members of our delegation, talking about the impact of climate change on Illinois and what would be the result if we rejoined the Paris Accords on climate. And we know that the president-elect Joe Biden has said already that's one of the first things that he wants to do. So one of the things that they found in a study that Sean was reporting on is that 227,000 premature deaths could be avoided, 253,000 emergency room and hospital visits would be reduced. More than 22 million lost workers, people who couldn't go back to work, and over $1.8 trillion in economic value. So all we need to do is to help clean up our climate, and these are some of the good things that could happen in just in Illinois alone. That's one of the major reasons that I felt like we needed a new administration, because we were going backwards in terms of carbon emissions all throughout the Trump administration and all his cronies in the fossil fuel industry. Of course, we have to take care of the workers as we transition to a green economy. I want to talk about mail delivery. You know that you may be one of the people that lives either in Edgewater, in Rogers Park, or in West Ridge, where the mail delivery has been totally unacceptable. We've been dealing with every single one of the complaints, and I still encourage you, if that's still happening. But some of you have let us know, because of our persistence, that it's getting a bit better. In fact, people were getting mail deliveries on Thanksgiving and on Sunday, we heard. So they're trying, but we're still not out of the woods. And so let us know if you're still having problems with your mail in those particular areas or beyond. Affordable Care Act. This is last call for you to either change your insurance in the coverage under the Affordable Care Act. Or to either change it or to enroll. And the deadline for that, for the marketplace enrollment, is December 15th. So please, again, if you need help in figuring out what is going to be the best policy, be sure and call my office, and we have people who can help you. That's what we want to do, make sure that you have the best possible insurance. And then maybe in the next administration, we can do something actually to make big improvements in healthcare options for us and get us closer to universal guaranteed healthcare as a right for all Americans. So I want to say Happy Hanukkah to all my Jewish friends, and we're heading into the holidays. Be safe. This year, try Zoom if you have the technology to meet with friends and family to enjoy those times. But be safe, be well, and I'll see you next week.
Thank you for watching my video. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, where my handle is @Jan Schakowsky.